This is the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. We have assembled the world's finest sports and trivia dorks to prove once and for all that we are just as bad at this as we were at sports.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, sports trivia for those of us who row the pine. I'm your host, Matt Takimoto. This is episode 241, and it is going to feature the Benchwarmer team of Eric Eade and Matt Doherty against Benchwarmer Scott Grimes and our special guest for this episode and newcomer to the bench, Zach Gozlan. Zach, welcome. Thanks for being here on your first episode. Why don't you take a minute and tell the folks about who you are and what teams you root for or what sports you follow.
Hi. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thanks for inviting me to do this. My name's Zach. There's a small number of people who would know me as Pitt Basketball Shouting, the Pitt Panthers blogger, but if you do, cool, not that big a deal. Add in, they stay there on Twitter, plug. I was on Jeopardy around the same time Taco was, although I am 0-1, as I will remain forever. Loyalty-wise, my highest loyalty is to the Pitt Panthers, all sports. Pitt Volleyball is the, be-all, end-all, greatest team ever, of course. And then from there, the Mets, the Devils, I'm from Jersey, so Mets, Devils, New York Giants for football. And then I lived in Oklahoma City for a while, so picked up the Thunder too because the Nets left Jersey. So looking forward to it. Definitely a little nervous, but excited to play.
All right. And Scott, how are you? And what's your team name tonight?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited. It's a fun time of year when we're recording this. It's right before the NFL Conference Championship games and the WWE Royal Rumble. So it's an exciting time of year for me, headed towards the NFL offseason and WrestleMania season. So I'm excited. I'm excited to team up with Zach. Jeopardy contestants are kind of hit or miss on our show, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with another one here. But team name wise, I was just trying to get to know Zach a little bit based on his wheelhouses and trying to put something together. And he mentioned obviously that he's a Pitt Panthers fan and an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, so my mind immediately went to someone who played for both that I'm also a pretty big fan of. And he is a very underrated NBA player. So tonight we're going to be the Steven Adams fan club.
All right. It's the Steven Adams fan club against team that will soon be named. Matt and Eric, how are you? And what is your team name tonight?
I'm doing good. That's all I got. Eric.
This is your Costco minute with me today. I've said it before. I love that damn place, and I drive an hour every 2 weeks to it, so that just proves how stupid I am. But if you've never had there's like these chicken nugget things that they have there that I'm literally obsessed with. So if you look up Kirkland chicken chunks, it's the greatest thing that has ever existed. It's like buying Chick-fil-A for your house. Mm-hmm. And so that's you're welcome. So if you have a Costco, go get those, and hopefully they'll sponsor us soon because I'll just plug their chicken nuggets every day. But our team name has nothing to do with chicken nuggets, maybe a little bit. So everyone's been complaining, like, oh, Taylor Swift, there's too much, but Matt and I have agreed that we want more Taylor Swift, so our team name today is More Taylor Swift.
Yeah, what's wrong with Taylor Swift?
All right, so we've got the Steven Adams fan club versus More Taylor Swift, and we are also looking for a chicken chunk sponsorship.
Got it.
So we've got our teams. Let's kick it over to Dan for the rules.
The game will consist of 4 quarters of play, each with different trivia style. The styles of quarters 1 through 3 will change from show to show, and I will explain them as we go along. Like any good sporting event, we will have a halftime show after the second quarter with entertainment questions. And in the fourth quarter, our teams will wager from their points accumulated to see who are today's clipboard captains, to be honored like the true benchwarmers they are. All right, let's get this game underway.
The first quarter for this episode will be Sporting Haikus.
Sporting Haikus. For this quarter, there will be 4 questions in haiku form. Each question is worth 25 points.
Question 1 in Sporting Haikus. Giants receiver, 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, somehow no Pro Bowls.
All right, we'll check in.
Okay, more Taylor Swift has checked in. Steven Adams fan club. Talk it out.
The two that we've been dancing around, funny enough, are Victor Cruz and Amani Toomer. Cruz was on some good Giants teams for sure. Whether he ever had like a single Pro Bowl season is another story. And then we were talking about how Amani Toomer might have been buried under some bigger talent around the time that he was having his best seasons. So I think we're both heading towards Amani Toomer as the pick.
Yeah, I think it's Toomer. I think, like we said, he was buried, right? Moss, Owens, Torrey Holt. Like, there were just a lot of guys. And Toomer was just one of those quiet, sort of consistent 1,000-yard receiving guys. He wasn't flashy. And that's what they look for in the Pro Bowl, right? They kind of want the guys with big numbers and the flashy plays. So I think I like Toomer better because Cruz did that. I feel like they'd want Cruz at the Pro Bowl, right? The dancing, and he's a deep threat. But Toomer, he's kind of a guy I feel like would get overlooked.
I can talk us into a bit more because I think by the time Cruz was big too, there were a bit more of the the dropouts, the attendance crisis at the Pro Bowl, whereas early 2000s it wasn't quite as bad, so it's less likely he even would have been like an injury replacement or a bail. So I think we're talking ourselves into Amani Toomer.
Yep, I'm with it. We're gonna check in with Amani Toomer.
And more Taylor Swift. What did you check in with?
He came up in our conversation. So did Victor Cruz, Plaxico Burress. I liked Akeem Nicks for a half a second, but then I feel like he didn't stick around long enough or even had that many good seasons. But eventually we did land on Amani Toomer as well.
And both teams getting points. It is Amani Toomer. He had 1,000-yard receiving seasons from 1999 through 2003. And yeah, somehow no Pro Bowls. Little surprising when you think about it. But yeah, I think lots of people dropping out and half the league making the Pro Bowl makes a difference there. Question 2 in Sporting Haikus. White guy hoops legend, 2K points as a Jayhawk, not Nick Collison.
We'll check in.
More Taylor Swift has checked in. Steven Adams fan club, talk it out.
This could go far back also. I mean, Kansas has been, a powerhouse for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go that far back because you have the college rule, same as anything, where like freshmen couldn't play initially, but I think that was done by like the 70s, 80s.
Right. Yeah. And I wonder how liberal he is with the term legend, white guy hoops legend. So it's like Kirk Heinrich was there. He was teammates with Nick Collison, but I don't think he got to 2,000 points. He was more of an assist guy.
Nick Collison's a Thunder legend. I just want to put that out there.
He is a Thunder legend.
Only retired number in Thunder history, I believe.
Absolutely.
I believe at some point maybe Nick Collison's Thunder teammate might have been Sasha Khan, who also went to Kansas, but don't think he got to 2,000 points. I think he did have a cup of coffee with the Thunder at some point. I feel like we're missing somebody.
We definitely are. I think we have something. We have Kirk in case nothing else comes up the next few minutes. But I'm thinking about that 05 team that was the Chalmers team. I remember Thomas Robinson, like the 2010s, but like trying to think of white guys.
No, because that Chalmers team was like Chalmers, Julian Wright. Yeah, I can't think of a white guy that was giving them a lot of minutes at that point. Right, Brandon Rush was on those teams, the Chalmers teams. And then if I'm thinking before that, right, then it's like Paul Pierce, Rafe LaFrentz. I don't know if Rafe LaFrentz counts as a white guy. I don't know what his his background is. But he very well probably got to 2,000 points. He was, like a third overall pick in the draft. I mean, he was excellent at Kansas, but I just don't know if he counts.
Oh man, I did not expect the sports podcast to get into blood quantums as quickly as it did.
Leave it to Taco.
I leave it up to you. I don't have a bid on this.
I'd rather answer LaFrentz because I think he has a better shot of actually clearing 2K
2,000
points
rather
than Heinrich, who, again, I think was more of an assist guy, and Collison was doing the scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think LaFrentz, and we just hope and pray that he's white.
Checking in with Rafe LaFrentz, I guess, yeah.
And more Taylor Swift, what did you check in with?
I want to, before you get to this, Eric, Why would Rafe LaFrance not be white? I'm still confused as to how that came up. Why is he not white?
Because his name's Rafe LaFrance.
Oh, I mean, the dude was born in Iowa. I mean, how many black people are born in Iowa? I mean, like two, three?
Oh,
No,
he
I'm
was
just
from
kidding.
overseas.
No, he's born in Iowa. Anyway, go ahead, Eric.
So I am fortunately very familiar with Rafe LaFrance's 23andMe profile. He is in fact white. So we checked in with Rafe LaFrance.
And both teams are getting points. Yeah, there are 3 2,000-point scorers in Kansas Jayhawks history. There is Danny Manning at the top. There's Nick Collison, and then there is Rafe LaFrance, who is unequivocally white.
Unequivocally.
Question 3 in sporting haikus. 1,000 career points, 20 years in New Jersey, number 26.
I'm going to check in. I'm checking in.
Eric and only Eric is checking in. Steven Adams fan club, talk it out.
So I can name some Devils legends because we're assuming this is a hockey question. Certainly no one, I don't think any, I know the Nets well enough that don't think anybody played for the Nets for 20 years.
Well, yeah. Also, if you played for 20 years and you only have 1,000 career points in the NBA, that's
Collison.
terrible. You're Kevin Willis.
Bismarck Biombo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rafe LaFrance.
Yeah, he wishes he lasted 4 years.
So I'm going through some Devils legends. The retired numbers are Danico, Scott Stevens, Elias is relatively recent, and then Jamie Langenbrenner. Langenbrenner wasn't in Jersey for 20 years, so that actually knocks him out. He went elsewhere, I think. So yeah, in terms of point scorers, yeah, Patrick Elias would be the best name I can pull here. I know he was around for quite a while. I don't know if he quite made it to 20. I'm coin flipping between Scott Stevens and Patrick Elias. So I think Elias should be the better swing there because again, Stevens was the defensive guy. So do you have any
Do it.
Okay, checking in with Patrick Elias.
And more Taylor Swift or just Eric? What did you check in with?
Just the fact that it's New Jersey, number 26, 20 years makes sense. It's Patrick Elias.
Both teams getting points. It is Patrick Elias. Yeah, finished with 1,025 career points in a 20-year career, all with the Devils. And just for reference, Nick Collison did not play 20 years in OKC, in case anyone was worried. He did play 14 seasons in OKC, which is a lot of seasons.
Wow.
I was gonna guess 15. Yeah, he was doing the Adonis Haslam thing by the end there.
Yeah, he's got his name engraved on the back of one of the end of the bench seats. All right. Question 4, final question of Sporting Haikus. 6,405 yards. I have to say it that way so the syllables fit. FBS career leader. No NFL snaps.
All right, Taco, we're good. We're gonna check in.
Okay, the Steven Adams fan club has checked in. More Taylor Swift. Talk it out.
So, like career rushing yards, if that's where we're going, then it's like, who's the kid that passed Ron Dane? Shoot, I thought he played in the NFL, but I guess he never did. He went to San Diego State. Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, I have no idea.
Who's that? There was the main reason his name ever stood out to me is because there was a guy, Donnell Pumphrey. That's it. All right. So that's him.
Donnell Humphrey.
Donnell Pumphrey. P-U and a bunch of other letters. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the one that passed Dane.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna check in with Donnell Pumphrey.
And Steven Adams fan club. What did you check in with?
Not Donnell Pumphrey, the legend Donnell Pumphrey, who was definitely on some NFL rosters. I guess maybe he just never took a snap. I don't know what happened with Zach and I, but we got stuck on QBs. And now that I'm looking at the question, that's way too few of yards for quarterbacks in FBS. But we were stuck on QBs, and we were trying to figure out which quarterback we wanted to go with because obviously Case Keenum has taken snaps and so many other guys. So we ended up checking in with, and you know what? I'm still good with it because, shout out Timmy Chang, FBS legend Timmy Chang. So we checked in with Timmy Chang.
Okay, one team is getting points. Yes, it is San Diego State legend Donnell Pumphrey. He was drafted eventually by the Eagles, traded a couple of times, stuck on the depth chart behind LeGarrette Blount, among other people. Suffered a torn hamstring and then just signed to a couple of other teams and never got picked up. And the last team he was signed for was the DC Defenders of the XFL. And he's now come back home to San Diego State as a grad assistant.
So he was on the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. So technically, he just never never played.
He never played. He tore his hamstring. He was on injured reserve that entire season.
There it is.
All right. After the first quarter, here are our scores. More Taylor Swift went 4 for 4. They've got 100 points, and the Steven Adams fan club has 75. We now move on to the second quarter, which is David versus Goliath.
David versus Goliath. This quarter will consist of 3 pairs of questions, one easier, David, and one harder, Goliath. After hearing both questions, the teams will pick one of the 2 questions to answer, either David or Goliath. Each David question is worth 25 points, and each Goliath question is worth 50 points.
Question number 1, David. He's the only U.S. president to be a member of the WWE Hall of Fame. Question 1, Goliath. He's the only national prime minister to be a member of the International Cricket Council Hall of Fame.
We're going to check in.
More Taylor Swift has checked in. Steven Adams fan club, talk it out.
So the David, we have 100%, and I think we're just trying to try to grind out just naming an Australian prime minister. And do you even want to take a shot at it if we can name one? Or
probably not. I think it would benefit us more to take the guaranteed points, especially when we get to the fourth. We're going to want more points to play with against these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we felt like 90% about someone, then we take the risk. But if not, I think it's probably better to take the guaranteed points.
Okay, and yeah, he said WWE Hall of Fame, not Wrestling Hall of Fame. There's a different president in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. I'm just showing out, showing out what I can do here.
That is part of my flavor text, so don't step on my feet.
I won't. Okay. So we'll check in with the David then.
Yep.
Okay, so checking in with Donald Trump for the David.
And more Taylor Swift. What did you check in with?
Well, he is probably one of the greatest cricketers of all time, and for the longest time, like maybe 8 to 12 years or something, he was the prime minister of Pakistan. I'm 90% or 99% sure that the Goliath is Imran Khan.
Both teams getting their points. Yes, the David is indeed Donald Trump, and the Goliath is former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, who is now currently in jail.
Yeah, I know that
multiple
there's
charges for corruption and among other things. Briberies.
Well, I mean, he was also trying to do a coup there too. Basically the military ran. The way Pakistan is weird is that the military really kind of runs everything, and the prime minister only serves at like the leisure of the military, and he kind of ran afoul of the generals there at the end, and they said, "All right, bye." And then he said, "Oh no, I'm a big tough guy, and I'm super popular. I'm gonna have a uprising," and they said, "No, you're in jail."
Okay. And yeah, my flavor text on that was there is a different president who is a member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Does anyone besides Zach want to venture a guess?
Yeah, that's it might be Abe Lincoln. I've heard of him. Yeah.
It is Abe Lincoln. Yeah.
Did you say Abe Lincoln?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay. Question 2 in David and Goliath. The David, name any of the 4 2023 U.S. Ryder Cup team members who played in their first Ryder Cup. 2 of them won their first majors in 2023. Question 2, Goliath. Name any of the 4 first-time members of the 2023 European Ryder Cup team. None of them have won majors, but 2 of them are Scandinavian. Apologies to Eric Walling for a Ryder Cup question and a cricket question in the same game that you're not on.
All right, we're gonna check in.
More Taylor Swift has checked in. Steven Adams fan club, talk it out.
So I saw something the other day, the Ryder Cup team and the members of the team, but all of the guys that I remembered that are on it I don't think it's any of their first time, so that's not helping. It's like Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth is there, Scheffler's there, Brooks Koepka, who we have a proclivity for, is there. I can't imagine it would be any of their first time though. So it's got to be guys that newer guys, and I just haven't been following current golf. So guys who've won their first majors in 2023. I don't know if that's going to help me a lot.
And I'm just a passenger on this one.
Okay, well, then we just got to throw some names out. And for Goliath, I mean, I haven't even seen who's on that team, so I can't even.
Now I can make. I'm 220 days into Duolingo Swedish, so I can make up a Scandinavian name.
The Steven Adams fan club has checked in with Johannesson. More Taylor Swift. What did you check in with?
So I can thank my gambling for this, because I unfortunately was gambling on golf, and I don't know why. I would just go down and pick, who's going to win, and it never worked out. But one name stuck out to me during the Ryder Cup because I knew Eric Walling was over there, so I was paying attention, trying to gamble, and like, hey, look, I won while you were there, but I never did. But a name stuck out just because it matched a hockey player's name that I was a big fan of growing up. So we're checking in. I'm not sure of his first names, but we're checking in with the last name of Straka.
Okay, one team is getting points here. Let's go through. First, the David answers any of the 4 first-timers on the U.S. Ryder Cup team. You had 2023 U.S. Open champion Wyndham Clark, 2023 British Open champion Brian Harman, and then you also had Sam Burns and Max Homa. Then for the Goliath, the 4 first-timers on the European Ryder Cup team, we did not have Johannesson, unfortunately. The Scandinavians were Ludwig Aberg and Nikolai Hogard. And then we also had Robert McIntyre and Sepp Straka. So points for the Goliath for more Taylor Swift for Straka. Question 3 in David and Goliath. The David. Name either 2022 MLB MVP. Question 3, Goliath. Name the 1922 MLB MVP.
No, thank you.
If there's ever been a question from Matt Doherty.
Matt's like, wait, hold on a minute.
He's like, wait, I get my 1920s MVPs mixed
up. I've never seen him happier in his life than just a 1922 baseball question. Just the glow in his face right now.
We're gonna check in.
Okay, the Steven Adams fan club has checked in. So more Taylor Swift. Talk it out.
Come on, Matt.
So Matt, here's the only reason I would say no to your answer of Fox, because I feel like that's not a Goliath answer.
Yeah, that's why we probably cut this out. Taco was probably editing this part, and he cut that part out. He was saying that if it was 1923, it would not have been a Goliath. And that makes me think that Fox might have been 1923. I know that Fox won the Triple Crown in there somewhere between 21 and like 25. And I might have been 23. I could be wrong though. It could have been a little bit later, but anyway, so that makes me think it's got to be somebody I've either never heard of or rarely heard of. So who won in 22? I forget who were the guys that won in 22.
22, it was either Judge or Goldschmidt.
Well, there was 2, isn't there? There's an AL MVP and an NL MVP.
That's what. Yeah. So Judge.
Okay. Yeah.
And Goldschmidt.
No, I get that. I didn't. You were saying either. That's why I'm like either. What?
Yes, like that's what I mean. Either of them.
Either of them
could are the answers. So yeah, it's either whatever name, because we only need one of them. So I would go Judge because I'm more positive on that one.
Go for it.
Unless you don't want to take a risk.
No, I can't think of it. I mean,
give me an old-timey baseball name.
I even wrote in the messages there that I'm only 25% sure that it might be Fox. So
wasn't there a guy like was there some dude with a super weird name, old baseball guy, Peck and Paw? No,
not him. The Flying Dutchman.
All right. Anyway,
no,
we're gonna check in with Aaron Judge.
Sure.
And Steven Adams fan club. What did you check in with?
Yeah, we'll take the other side. We'll go Goldschmidt.
Both teams getting points for the David. They were Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt. Eric, believe it or not, you did name Roger Peckinpah the 1925 MLB MVP. So you were pretty darn close. The 1922 MLB MVP, he hit 420 in that season, and he had a particularly long hitting streak. This was George Sisler.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that name. Yeah.
Sisler.
He had the 41 game streak that DiMaggio broke. So he had the longest hitting streak for 20 years or something. All right. At the end of the second quarter, here are our scores. More Taylor Swift is in the lead with 225, and the Steven Adams fan club has 125. It's now time for halftime.
It is now time for the halftime show. There will be 3 entertainment questions. Each question is worth 25 points.
And this edition of Halftime is going to be another edition of what Eric Walling dubbed on, I think, a couple episodes ago of the OT. We are now calling it officially, because of Walling, the Leva Ducks Memorial Episcopalian Overlaps. These will be 2 entertainment or pop culture questions, and squished in the middle of those 2 answers is an athlete or a sports-related thing. So my stock example has been, if I were to ask, he played Jesse Pinkman on Breaking Bad, and his bat suit had nipples on it, your full answer would be Aaron Paul George Clooney, with Paul George in the middle of those 2 answers.
What did Walling call this again?
He called it the Leva Ducks Memorial Episcopalian Overlaps. I think this was on like 2 or 3 OTs ago and made me laugh, and so we're doing it. All right. Question number 1 in halftime. Early 90s Nickelodeon sitcom starring Michael Morona and Danny Tamborelli in the title roles, and Australian actress who starred in Bridesmaids and the Insidious trilogy.
We're checked in.
Okay. Steven Adams fan club is checked in. More Taylor Swift. Talk it out.
Yeah, it's Pete and Pete.
You know the Nickelodeon show, right?
It's I don't know where
No.
like actresses are from. So there's Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy. Oh, Rose Byrne. So Pete and Pete Rose Byrne.
Pete Rose Byrne.
There you go. So Pete Rose. There you go. We're checking in with that. I'm not saying it again.
And Steven Adams fan club, what did you check in with?
Yeah, was on this one pretty early. I prefer her in Instant Family or Neighbors. But yeah, I'm a big fan of her. The Internship, she's very good in that. Pete and Pete Rose Byrne.
Both teams getting points. Correct answer is The Adventures of Pete and Pete Rose Byrne.
I was just thinking about Pete and Pete recently because this Jersey band called Real Estate just dropped a video for a song which was like a low-key Pete and Pete reunion. They brought a bunch of those guys back. So
Nice.
Check that out. Yeah.
All right. Question number 2 in halftime. Oscar-winning actor who has played characters named Easy Rollins, Robert McCall, and Frank Lucas, among others, and an American games company most famous for producing turn-based card games like Magic the Gathering.
We are going to check in.
Steven Adams fan club has checked in. More Taylor Swift. Talk it out.
There was an episode here like a month ago or so where I got all of the halftime questions within like a half of a second of them being read. I really liked that show.
It was a simpler
So
time.
you guys are all like just like a half of a like 7 years age difference than me, that you guys know these things that I mean like an early 90s Nickelodeon. I was not watching Nickelodeon sitcoms in the early 90s. I was more.
I think we moved on from the Nickelodeon game.
I know. Now we're on to the next one. But still, I don't even know.
He's got
I don't know
PTSD
this
about the
one here.
Nickelodeon question.
Yes, I do.
It's like, what's
And I
that?
totally
Pete and
missed
Pete
the
gave him the
Magic the
yips.
Gathering stuff. So like, I don't know any card companies that did Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering was like literally like about 5 or 8 years after me. So I don't know.
Oh, Easy Rollins, Robert McCall.
Frank Lucas.
If you can get me that, I might be able to get there.
Yeah, I don't know any of those names. Don't sound familiar to me at all.
Well, Frank Lucas means something completely different to me. Like he was I don't know him. I guess maybe I just didn't see whatever movie it was. But he was like a real life person.
Okay.
Like he died when I say recently, maybe within the last 5 years. Like he was like a drug, like kingpin type dude. Yeah,
a kingpin. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know who would have played him. And then it's not going to get me. For some reason, I can't figure out who makes Magic the Gathering. I could probably look. I have like 100 of the cards on my floor right now, but I'm not going to look there. There's 800. Like they spilled about a week ago, and I have yet to pick them up. So I don't know. Let's just. Who's that guy?
Oh, him.
You know, the guy with the thing.
Sure.
Samuel L. Jackson Whammo. There you go.
Very nice. And Steven Adams Fan Club, what did you check in with?
Yeah, so the first part of the clue, because I was processing it as you were saying it, Easy Rawlins is the main character of Devil in a Blue Dress, noted African-American detective character. I was like 90% sure just hearing that it was Denzel Washington. And then the back half of the clue, Magic Gathering 100% of Wizards of the Coast. So, that confirmed the first part for me. Or if it's another Washington, then whoops. Almost said, a different, first name is common last name. But we will check in with Denzel Washington, Wizards of the Coast.
And one team getting points. Correct answer is Samuel L. Jackson Whammo. No, it is, in fact, Denzel Washington, Wizards of the Coast. Yes, and Frank Lucas was a real drug kingpin, and Denzel Washington portrayed him in the movie American Gangster.
Not on my radar.
It's a good one.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
it's
a good movie.
I love everything he does, so I'm surprised I just don't watch him. Anyway.
All right, and the final question of halftime. 2010 romantic film starring Channing Tatum and Amanda Seyfried that centers around a soldier exchanging letters with his girlfriend at home, and a 2012 film about a U.S. president fighting mythical creatures.
We will check in.
Okay, Steven Adams Fan Club has checked in. More Taylor Swift, talk it out.
These guys are checking in within like seconds. And over here going like, but Amanda who? Sci-fi, yeah.
Not Amanda Pete, Matt.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
It's easier now. I kind of forgot the whole point of this thing. I forgot the sports link in the middle.
Okay. What's the Channing Tatum movie?
I think that's like Dear John.
Okay.
And then it would be John Abraham, because it's Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Oh.
I forgot about that whole sport thing in the middle. Anyway, that's what we're going to go with. Dear John Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
And Steven Adams Fan Club, what did you check in with?
Yeah, pretty sure Dear John is a Nicholas Sparks movie. I'm not.
Yes, it is.
Great. Okay, cool. Because Scott had it too. And then there is only one movie about presidents hunting mythical creatures that I can think of, and certainly only one that year. So we're going to check in with Dear John Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Both teams getting points. Correct answer is Dear John Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I want to see ChatGPT write that movie now.
Zach, I'm very familiar with Channing Tatum's catalog.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Sparks film.
John Abraham, the Jets defensive tackle, or
and
Falcons?
Yeah.
Ooh, hey, look at me.
All right. After halftime, the lead has shrunk just slightly. More Taylor Swift has 275. Steven Adams Fan Club has 200. We now move on to the third quarter, which will be Lucky 7.
Lucky 7. For this quarter, there will be 3 lists containing 7 items. The team that is trailing coming into the quarter will choose the first list and attempt to identify the items on this list one at a time. If the team has an incorrect guess, the other team can attempt to finish that list out. The team leading at the beginning of the quarter will select the second list, and whichever team is trailing after the first 2 lists will get the third list. Each item is worth 10 points.
Okay, so for this lucky 7, going first is going to be the Steven Adams Fan Club, and you may choose from the following 3 lists. The last 7 Pitt Panthers to be drafted in the first round of the NFL Draft. The 7 wrestlers who have spent the longest cumulative time in a Royal Rumble. Or the top 7 career home run leaders for the New York Mets.
Oh, these are good.
Thank you so much. I think because it seems like you'd be more comfortable you'd be more helpful with the Rumble stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'll contribute to all. I like all 3 of them, to be honest. I want you to have the best experience possible. If you want to do the Pitt Panthers one just because it's your wheelhouse and it's fun, I'm fine with that. I don't really care if we win. I'd rather you have a good time. That's a very unique list for you. So
I will. I'm gonna miss. I will embarrass myself, but I'm gonna miss some guy. Like I don't know how.
Sure.
Let's go for it because it's my. I want to see how well I do on this, but I'm ready to. I might be skipping some dudes or something, but we'll see.
Okay. Yep. Let's do it.
Okay, so the Steven Adams Fan Club is taking the last 7 Pitt Panthers to be drafted in the first round of the NFL Draft. So take some time to think about that list and more Taylor Swift strategize.
Taco, we're checking in our list.
Okay, checking in the attempt at the last 7 Pitt Panthers to be drafted in the first round of the NFL Draft. Why don't you give them to me one by one?
Okay. Most recently, had a pretty big game in that playoff game the other week or last week in our timeline. Kalijah Kancey for the Bucks.
Correct. In 2023, 19th overall.
Yep. Then a guy I still believe in, but I understand if what happens in the draft this year. Kenny Pickett.
In 2022, 20th overall to Pittsburgh. Correct.
Yep. Then we drop back a bit and going to the Rams was Aaron Donald in 2013.
Yep. He is there.
And then I'm trying to do this in chronological order. So yeah, the next one chronologically would be John Baldwin, I believe.
In 2012 to Kansas City, 26th overall. Correct.
Nice. And then definitely Darrelle Revis to the Jets.
2007, 14th overall. Correct.
Okay, and that confirms it, I think, because then I think the guy we were unsure of would have been drafted after that. So then we go back to Larry Fitzgerald.
2004, 3rd overall. Correct.
And going to finish off with the other great Pitt receiver, because also there was Jordan. I was asking, I don't know if this will be on the recording, but I was asking about basically Jordan Addison, who did his best work at Pitt, but would have been drafted out of USC. So that's not our answer. We're going to go for our last one with Antonio Bryant.
Antonio Bryant was a 2nd round pick
in
2002.
No way.
Cowboys legend.
So you got 6. There is one answer out there for the steal. More Taylor Swift. It's yours.
It's Jeff Ota.
It is Jeff Ota, 2008, 19th overall to Carolina.
Man.
I forgot he existed.
Run at it.
My freshman year was 2010, so I wasn't going to know him at the time. And then, after the Fiesta Bowl year in 2004 to around 2010, and then for even a while after that, the teams were pretty mid for the most part. So I was not it makes sense, but I wasn't looking around for like big name guys from that era, really.
Yeah, before Larry Fitzgerald, you have to go back to 1995 and Reuben Brown as the next most recent Pitts first rounder.
Would not have gotten that, but thank you for giving me that question. Still appreciate it.
All right. So more Taylor Swift, you are up. Would you like the 7 wrestlers who have spent the longest cumulative time in a Royal Rumble, or the top 7 career home run leaders for the New York Mets?
I mean, do you know the Royal Rumble one?
I feel like I could hit a big chunk of them, but I think we have that Mets list. I think it's a solid list.
I think you're right. I came up with about 4 or 5 of these. You came up with the other ones.
You listed all of them. I threw out like maybe one. So
okay,
because you had most of them, and I agree with it. So let's go with it.
We're gonna check in with the Mets home run leaders.
All right. If you're ready, give them to me one by one.
We're going to go with Wright, David Wright.
David Wright, number 2 on the list with 242 career home runs.
Still on the Hall of Fame ballot, 6.2%, baby.
He made it.
Then we'll go with Piazza.
Mike Piazza, 3rd on the list with 220.
And Darryl Strawberry.
Darryl Strawberry, number 1 on the list, 252.
Pete Alonso. I think he has a chance of beating Strawberry, right? At some point, hopefully, maybe. Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso, 4th on the list, 192 home runs.
Then where it gets a little bit dicey. Beltran.
Carlos Beltran, 7th on the list, 149.
Oh, now I'm a little questioning our other ones. So,
I mean, you question all you want. It's still
that's what we checked in with, and that's fine.
Yeah, but I think it's better than anything else anyway.
Kingman.
Dave Kingman, number 6 on the list with 154.
And then our last one we have is Johnson.
You don't have to specify, but Howard Johnson has 192 home runs, tied with Pete Alonso.
Oh.
You ran the list. Very good. 7 for 7. And so that means after those first 2 lists, Steven Adams Fan Club, the final list is yours. The 7 wrestlers with the longest cumulative time in a Royal Rumble.
I think this has come up before.
Yeah,
if not on this episode, it's come up on this show. It's become up on a different show, and I think a show that you might have been on, Scott. Because I remember
it was on Benchwarmers.
Yeah, because I remember you talking about this before. So,
well, I'm glad you remember that.
Oh, can I give a nerd question?
Does
the greatest Royal Rumble count for our purposes?
Oh, that is actually a really good question.
That is a really good question.
Does the what now? Say again?
Because that puts this guy potentially on there.
The greatest Royal Rumble.
The greatest Royal? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, Matt. Basically, they did a one-off sort of offshoot. Was it a Saudi show?
Yes, it was. Very much.
Yeah.
And it was a 50-man.
Yeah, they did one a one-off that doesn't really count in the lineage technically, but it's
not a part of the canon.
Depends on who you talk to.
Let me try and find a second list to cross reference, because this one doesn't say. Judging by some of the other names and times on this extended list, I think the greatest Royal Rumble is included.
Okay.
Is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check if Hiroki Sumi's on there. Obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taco, we're gonna check in.
Okay. Steven Adams Fan Club checking in with the 7 longest participants all time, cumulative time in the Royal Rumble. Go ahead and give me your list.
We're going to go Chris Jericho.
Number 1 on the list, 4 hours, 59 minutes, 33 seconds.
Okay.
Triple H.
Triple H is number 4 on the list, 4 hours and 50 seconds.
We're going to go with Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, number 3 on the list, 4 hours, 14 minutes, 45.
We're going to go with Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels is number 5, 3 hours, 47 minutes, 32 seconds.
Okay. And now we'll say the Big Red Machine, Kane / Isaac Yankem / Fake Diesel, because he was in as all of those characters.
Kane / Fake Diesel / Isaac Yankem DDS is number 9 on the list.
He's been
3 hours, 19 minutes, 40
I think a couple guys must have
seconds.
eclipsed him recently, would be my guess.
So that was 40 points. And more Taylor Swift. There are 3 names out there available.
Who have they said?
They said Jericho, Triple H, Rey Mysterio, and Shawn Michaels, and then Kane.
All right, let's go with Edge.
Edge is number 6, 3 hours, 32 minutes, 55.
Yep, he was our next one.
All right, Matt, I'm just gonna name random.
I'm gonna have a lot of feedback here.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I'm gonna say no. Don't go with that next one. No. Yeah. No, go ahead. That's fine.
That guy, Randy Orton.
Randall Keith Orton, number 2 on the list, 4 hours, 34 minutes, 8 seconds.
That was our next one after that.
Those were our
went through this before. The only 2 I remembered him talking about were Jericho and Triple H. So that was all. All the thunder I had was those 2.
No, we got one more.
One more.
I watched last year's.
I don't know if that's going to help you.
I remember there was somebody goofy on the list, and that was Randy Orton. Or Randy Orton?
Somebody goofy.
I'd never heard that name before, and I was like, who is that?
I feel like there's got to be somebody newer, so I'm trying to think. I watched last year's.
They have a Royal Rumble at like every
year.
WrestleMania?
It's its
Royal
own
Rumble.
It's its own thing.
Yeah.
Every Royal Rumble.
I don't know these
pay-per-view.
things. Come on.
I watch all the old ones, so that
I have a life.
It's the most fun ever watching.
It's the single most fun event in wrestling, I think.
I'm having a Rumble.
Correct.
I'm having a Rumble watch party on Saturday, and I can reveal, because this will come out after that the prize for the number poll is an autographed photo of WCW superstar Buff Bagwell.
Such a high in demand
All right.
prize. I love it.
Was that like $23 on eBay?
You nailed it.
He's the stuff.
I don't know. Pick somebody at random.
Give
me
Coco,
what
Coco
name
Beware. No,
There
it's gotta
we
be
go.
it's gotta be a
Ooh.
current.
No?
It's gotta be a more recent person, right? Doesn't it?
Recent?
Because they were saying Kane probably got knocked out by somebody more recent.
So you want me to go with the guy that I remember being in for like an hour last year?
Yes.
All right. So it's that dude with he's like white, like super white.
Rafe LaFrance.
Super white. Like the whitest dude ever. Like he's almost opaque.
Like he was born in
he's
Iowa,
just
maybe?
worse. Like
Worse.
just
Worse.
he's like the dude from Game of Thrones. Like he's like
like a
that
White
guy.
Walker?
Yeah, he's basically just the hell's his
The
stupid
Night
name?
King.
Seamus. Let's go with that.
Seamus? Okay.
Sheamus is number 7 on the list.
Really?
3 hours, 26 minutes, 21.
Do you have it? Wasn't he in last year's for like an hour?
He was in for like 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
He's in for a long time.
Yeah,
And yes,
because
he
I remember
is-
watching
he
that
is
last
the
year.
whitest professional wrestler to ever professional wrestle.
I wouldn't have, Zach, I wouldn't have
No.
put him in the top.
Because when you
top
say
7.
that got so eclipsed by Gunter's run that like I
Right.
already forgot about that. Yeah.
I just pulled up the list, and Sheamus and Cody Rhodes both passed Kane last year. So I was right. It's
Yes.
2 guys that passed Kane this
Last year.
man.
Yeah,
Last time
Cody
I did
Rhodes.
this
Cody Rhodes
question-
is 8, and then Dolph Ziggler rounds out the top 10.
I was playing with Ziggler because I know he'd been in the same sort of Kane slot of like been in a bunch of them. So just
The last time I did this, Kane was in the top 7. So I don't feel so bad.
okay. It's all good. It's all good.
All right. So after the third quarter, here are our scores. More Taylor Swift has 385 points, and the Steven Adams fan club has 300. It's time for the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter, known as Put Your Fours Up. This quarter consists of 4 categorized questions that teams will wager up to 100 points each, not to exceed their current point total.
All right. For the fourth quarter, this episode, your categories are spring, summer, fall, and winter. Spring is about MLB history. Summer is about the Olympics. Fall is about professional wrestling. And winter is NHL adjacent. It is now time for the teams to place their wagers.
We'd like to take a minute to invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BenchwarmersTP. We also have a Facebook group for fans of the pod called The Bench. Join us there to comment on the latest episodes and share cool sports facts and trivia. If you'd be willing to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, we'd greatly appreciate the support so that other people may find this podcast. Thanks.
Now that the wagers are in, on to the questions. Question number 1, category of spring, about MLB history. Name the 2 teams, one from each league, that moved their spring training from Florida to Arizona prior to the 1947 season, beginning what is now the Cactus League. One of the reasons given for this move was to get away from the Jim Crow get away from the Jim Crow laws in Florida, and these two teams were among the first to integrate, fielding black players on their major league rosters before 1950.
We can check in.
More Taylor Swift has checked in. Steven Adams fan club. Talk it out.
So we feel strongly about the Cleveland Guardians, knee Indians as one of them, as the AL team, because I know they integrated very early relative to other
Larry Doby, yeah.
Larry Doby. I know the Dodgers were in Florida for quite a while after they moved to Los Angeles. My parents actually live in the beach now, which was right. Yeah, so they still have a lot of like Dodger Town stuff up there.
Yeah.
I could just be shouting off NL teams for a minute.
I've done it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no current NL East team because I think they're all still in Florida.
Right. I was thinking someone like, is it like Pittsburgh or
Pittsburgh? I think Pittsburgh's also still in Florida, so no, it's not them. Yeah, they lost to a community college one time pretty recently. So. Manatee Community College, I believe.
It's okay. They've got to roll this Chapman now, so they're going to be fine.
So yeah, no, it's not. We can like elimination. Like it's not the Braves. It's not the Phillies. It's not the Mets. It's not the Pirates.
Okay.
The Brewers were an AL. The Brewers didn't exist.
Yeah. So we got Cincinnati, which I don't know if I'm thinking that because maybe just the Ohio connection with Cleveland.
Yeah, them or St. Louis.
St. Louis.
No, I think St. Louis is also in Florida.
Yeah.
And
then obviously we can't really. I mean, if we're going out west, then I think it's got to be.
There weren't really teams in the West in 1947. So.
Right. That's what Yeah.
Yeah.
So is our best bet a coin flip between St. Louis and Cincinnati?
Yeah, I'd feel a little better about Cincinnati. Of the options, I'm just going through like the current Florida League teams, and I think I know the Cardinals have an affiliate down there. So
right.
They just do spring training elsewhere. I'd feel more comfortable with Cincinnati just to put it on the table. Cubs potentially, or did they?
Oh yeah, maybe. I have no recollection of like, the Cubs, and when it comes to the color barrier, but yeah, I mean Cubs could certainly be. And I don't know. I'm trying to think if the Cubs are in Florida.
They're probably the furthest west of that era.
Right.
In the NL. Yeah, the two that I can't outright, and like the Cardinals, I'm pretty sure have a team down there. So I think it's just a coin flip between Cubs and Reds. I feel a little better about the Cubs for the geography.
Let's do Cubs. I like that too.
Okay. So we're going to check in with the Chicago Cubs and the Cleveland AL team.
For how many points?
Oh, for 100 points.
Okay. And more Taylor Swift, what did you come up with?
So we checked in with the Dodgers and Cleveland. But now that I think about it, I think it's the Cubs because the Cubs actually did their spring training on Catalina Island just off of the LA coast for quite a while. And then I thought they moved to Arizona after that. But so we said Dodgers and Cleveland for 85 points.
No teams getting points on this one. The Indians is correct. Indians now Guardians. Yes, with Larry Doby as their first black player in 1947. The other one was the Giants.
Oh, okay.
Moved along with the Indians at the time Indians President Bill Veeck. It was his idea to move to Arizona and got Horace Stoneham to go along with him. And Hank Thompson and Monty Irvin both debuted for the Giants in 1949. So those two teams there. Okay. Let's move on to question 2 in the category of summer. And this is an Olympics question. At the 1992 Summer Olympics in Barcelona, swimmer Summer Sanders took home 3 individual medals, one of each type, in 2 different swimming events. Name either event. I don't need the exact distance, just the swimming event.
Wow. Summer Sanders, guys. I hope we can all figure it out.
I get it.
Right.
I
don't know if the clapping picks up on the microphone, but I was clapping, and the dozens of people behind me were also standing and applauding.
In my original draft of this game, the answer to this question was figure it out.
That would have been so much easier.
But then I sat there looking at it going, this is not actually a sports question.
Yeah, it 100% is.
I would have asked you to give it to me, but you've already given me so much tonight in terms of like multiple wrestling questions, pit, I can't, thank you. It was indeed in my wheelhouse, and that probably saved some face for me on this one. Because I've listened to the show, and I say it again that y'all are good at this.
Either. I don't need both. I need either.
I believe it's pronounced either.
Yeah. Either.
It's pronounced chimera,
but it's an e. There's an e at in the front of it, so it's either.
Mm-hmm. Just like ether is pronounced ether and ether. Or wait,
I pronounce the letters that are put in front of me, and I don't try any of this backwards phonics
bunch of mumbo jumbo bullshit.
Listen,
a bunch of nonsense.
Right?
He's trying to just trip you up here with the.
If they wanted it to sound like I, then put an I there. Stop trying to be fancy. Just
with the weird pahonics.
Right.
I didn't write any Vezina Trophy questions. I don't know why this is a thing.
Oh. Well, at least we know the NHL adjacent one is not.
Matt, we're gonna check in.
We are.
All right, more good. Unbeknownst to Matt, more Taylor Swift has checked in. So Stephen Adams fan club, talk it out.
My night of reading comprehension continues. I have sent to Scott so many numbers before realizing I needed to name swimming disciplines, but luckily I can name, I think, most of the major swimming disciplines of, breaststroke, backstroke, freestyle, butterfly. There's some relays in there too, but I, don't think that's what we're going for here.
Freestyle.
That's the highest profile one. That's the one that would make her the star of Nickelodeon game shows that we know her as today. I don't think
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, they're not taking the 100-meter butterfly champion, are they? And if they are, then whoops, I just said that into a microphone.
No, they'd be hosting like Wild and Crazy Kids, not
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will just go freestyle. We don't have really any thunder on it, but I've read her Wikipedia page. It's been a while, but maybe I feel like the word freestyle was on there. So, yeah, we're going to check him freestyle for 50 points.
And more Taylor Swift. What did you come up with?
Eric, before we get in here,
what
was the name of the dive that Rodney Dangerfield did in Back to School, that movie where he did off of the 3 different boards? Remember that? Was that the triple Lindy?
If you want to ask me a Ladybugs question, I can field that. But if you're going to go older than that, I can't help you.
Chester, his son was his stepson was Matthew / Martha. Yeah, we can do that.
I thought you were talking about actual ladybugs. I was like, did you know that they get more spots as they get older? That's how you can tell the age of a ladybug is count the spots.
My knowledge of ladybugs goes by, I yell at people all the time. They're like, oh, it's a ladybug. I'm like, nope, that's a Japanese beetle. It's orange. It's not red. Get your colors right, because you see those orange ones all the time, and those are not ladybugs. So that's your ladybug minute with the Ben Schwarmer's Trivia Podcast.
But what was the actual answer to the question?
I forgot. I've already forgotten.
I moved on to the triple Lindy, so that I'm focused on that now. Dave,
I'm pretty sure it was the butterfly. She won gold in the butterfly.
For how many points?
100.
Okay, one team is getting points. Zach, you were correct in that they would not give the 100-meter butterfly champion a hosting gig on Nickelodeon, but they would give the 200-meter butterfly champion a hosting gig on Nickelodeon. Summer Sanders won gold in the 200-meter butterfly, and her other 2 individual medals were both in the individual medley at 200 meters and 400 meters. Won silver and bronze. And those also won a gold in the medley relay, but that wasn't included in this question.
So asking for a friend, does she still, has she held up? Sorry.
Good question, actually.
That is a good question. I don't know. I have not.
Okay. Well, I have some work to do after we're done recording.
Her Wikipedia photo is from 2009, so that doesn't help us for that particular question.
Summer Sanders now. That's going to be trending on.
That's the episode title. Episode 241, Summer Sanders now.
Oh, she's a big Buffalo Bills fan. I see that.
Oh, boy. Yep. That's not a good start.
Mm-hmm. She just lost 2 pegs.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There's a lot of wrinkles there. There's a lot of
that's why she's a Bills fan. She's got to blend in.
All right. Question 3 in the fourth quarter. Category is fall. It's a professional wrestling question. This wrestling Nepo baby had a great fall from the Titantron during his hardcore championship match with the Lethal Weapon Steve Blackman at SummerSlam 2000. He would repeat the feat the following year at Backlash 2001, hurling himself off the Titantron onto the Big Show.
checked in.
Steven Adams fan club has checked in. More Taylor Swift. Talk it out.
Was anything he said there English? Because I don't. It's might
Danny
have been
Glover.
Hungarian.
I see Lethal Weapon, so it's either Danny Glover or Mel Gibson.
Did you read the question?
No.
Okay, good.
I know who Steve Blackman is.
It's a Nepo baby, so it's obviously somebody's
Repo
kid.
Man? Oh, okay, somebody's kid.
2001.
So I knew Steve Blackman was like one of that. He was like that kung fu dude, right? So you'd have no. I'm talking to nobody. I apologize.
You are. You're talking to black hole of wrestling knowledge. It doesn't have
Brown.
Coco Beware or the animal
Right.
or the
2000.
Road Warriors.
I was watching wrestling at this time. However, behind the scenes thing, my family did not have money. So I watched zero pay-per-view. And when I say that, I watched them or listened to them because this is kids listening, any kid under the age of 40. Back when pay-per-views were on, you would just watch like the script, like the messed up screen. You would just hear what was going on. So that's what I was watching.
We did that with things that were not also were not wrestling, but
No,
correct.
SummerSlam.
But Matt did it with things that was still two dudes, but it wasn't wrestling. Yeah.
Nepo baby.
What's wrong with that? Why are you trying to
Had
make
a
fun of
great fall.
was SummerSlam a part of WrestleMania, or is it part of this? What is this now? I don't know.
SummerSlam was its own thing, Matt.
What?
I just want a podcast of Doherty asking wrestling questions.
It's just, man,
And all of them are, is this WrestleMania?
Is this a part of WrestleMania?
So is WrestleMania just going
It's
all the time?
It's the anime butterfly meme.
Was the Women's Revolution a part of WrestleMania?
So this Big Show, was that a big WrestleMania or? Oh, geez. All right, Nepo baby. So how many people were kids back then? Somebody that would have jumped off a Titantron.
Kids back then.
Let's go. Let's go with Shane McMahon for 100 points.
Matt goes Titantron. Is that part of WrestleMania?
Sometimes.
All right, and Steven Adams fan club. What did you check in with?
Eric Ross. No, sorry, I just had to shout that out.
That's hilarious.
That's
Yeah, we both had this right away. His matches always delivered back then. There was always going to be something crazy. That King of the Ring match with Angle was also incredible.
It was real glass.
Yeah, when he went through the glass. This is the ultimate Nepo baby, and he's still doing crazy like this, like tearing his quads at WrestleMania against The Miz. It's a Shane McMahon.
That wasn't at WrestleMania. Oh, wait, the same thing.
Oh, the same.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's all It's one WrestleMania after another. Both teams getting points. It is Shane O'Mac himself.
Sorry, ours was 100. I don't know if I said that, but for 100 points.
Technically, every wrestling event is WrestleMania.
Yes.
If you like it enough, it is WrestleMania.
Somebody's, yeah.
All right. And our final question of the night in the category of winter. This is an NHL adjacent question. The NHL Winter Classic has been held at 14 different outdoor stadiums since its inception in 2008, with Fenway Park the only venue to host more than once. There is only one Winter Classic venue that is not the home stadium of a baseball or football team. Name that venue, the largest sports venue in the United States that doesn't serve as a professional or college's home team stadium.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to check in.
Okay. The Steven Adams fan club has checked in for the final time this episode. More Taylor Swift. Talk it out.
Okay. So this probably wouldn't be Canada somewhere because
it says in the U.S.
Oh, did it say that?
Yes, it actually does. I actually read that part. It's not a team, professional or college team. I don't know.
What kind of a venue would they have it at that would be outdoors, that would be big enough to hold the amount of people that would be there?
So I feel like I can list every stupid Winter Classic and tell you exactly where they are, but
Well,
I
then
can't. I have
list
none
the
that are
cities
not.
and let's. I mean,
All right.
I
So the
can't.
first one was in Buffalo. It was at Ralph Wilson Stadium. And then it was Wrigley, then Fenway, then Pittsburgh had it, and that was at Heinz Field. Citizens Bank, Michigan, but it was canceled. But then they brought it right back to Michigan Stadium. Um, Nationals, Ballpark, Capitals, Blackhawks were there. Gillette Stadium had it. Busch Stadium, City Field, Notre Dame Field, or Stadium, like it's Cotton Bowl, Target Field, Fenway, T-Mobile Park. I like honestly, I can't think of one in between there that's not, or any of those I said not. Like those are all professional stadiums. They're all baseball or football or college. Or is he saying maybe I'm reading it wrong? More than once. This is the only Winter Classic venue that's not the home stadium of a baseball or football team. I feel like I'm reading it wrong. I'm just overlooking something because I'm pretty sure I just rattled off every Winter Classic.
That was a double lucky seven, right? There's 14 of them.
Baseball or football?
I don't know.
Largest sports venue in the U.S. that doesn't serve as a professional or a college team's home stadium.
Yes.
Would that be a raceway somewhere? Wouldn't it be like?
I mean, it could be, but in my head, I just listed them all, and I have none that
No,
would
I
have been
understand.
it.
I'm just looking at that last part there, right? So, obviously, the big house hosts the most amount of people that can be there, right? At a professional or college sports venue, right? In the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
How much does like Daytona or Talladega or Indianapolis 500? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, like I can't think of
But
any
those,
of those that would have ever been
and then
had it.
the infield of those are so huge, you wouldn't be able to even see the game because there's, you know what I mean? They're 2.5 miles around.
Oh my God! You know what?
What's that?
Is the Cotton Bowl home for anybody?
No, you're right. Nobody plays there as their
There it
regular
is.
home.
There it is.
There you go. Cotton Bowl for 100 it is.
Yeah, well, I knew there was something in there. All right.
Okay, checking in the Cotton Bowl is more Taylor Swift. And Steven Adams Fan Club, what did you check in with?
Yeah, we were talking on chat while after Eric went through the list. We picked up the Cotton Bowl thing much too late, but we were not going to get there. In fact, we did go with the Speedway answer because I knew about like that Virginia Tech Tennessee game that was at Bristol Motor Speedway that had the massive crowd. I passed by Dallas Motor Speedway. I figured they could have arranged it a certain way to get that kind of crowd in there. And with Bristol, the Predators could have conceivably hosted a game, even with the climate or whatever. So we did go with Bristol Motor Speedway for 50.
One team is getting points, and Eric, that was pretty scary because you completely nailed the list of all Winter's Classic in order, including the ones that were canceled. Wow. Okay. But yes, the correct answer is the Cotton Bowl, which is not the home stadium of any team right now. Currently, the only regular event that ends up there besides the Texas State Fair is the Red River Shootout rivalry, whatever you want to call it, between Texas and Oklahoma. The game has come to an end, and here are our final scores. The Steven Adams Fan Club with a nice performance, finishing with 200 points. The clipboard caption of the game, receiving the coveted Timmy Chang Award with 600 points, is more Taylor Swift. Zach, thanks for coming on and playing tonight. Is there anything you want to say on the way out?
No, not really. Nothing big. Thanks for having me. Y'all are really good at this. I knew that going in, and thanks for the pit question. Always happy to shout that out. Yeah, Twitter, Pit Basketball Shouting, Blue Sky, I have Shouting, B Sky Social. I do stuff there. This is what I do. I dox myself only in the recordings of podcasts. So if this is how you found out, let me know. And don't use my real name on there because then I'd have to delete the account. All right. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Anything else from the Benchwarmers before we get out of here?
Summer Sanders holds up. I'll put that out there right now.
On that note, for Eric and Scott and Matt and all the rest of the Benchwarmers, I have been Matt Takimoto. This has been the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. And until next time, we'll keep the bench warm.
Go Bills.
That ball hit high and deep. Stretch! Get on back there. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes!
Into deep left center for Mitchell. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
That great music you're listening to is by Justin Nozick. Thanks to him for producing that music for us. You've been listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We are at BenchwarmersTP.